Hi, welcome to the series of Jasper Reports. In this session, we are going to learn about HTML5 column chart in Jaspersoft Design Studio. The agenda for this session is, firstly, I will walk you through the basics of column chart. Secondly, we take a look on how we can create a simple column chart. Thirdly, we will learn about how we can apply basic and advanced chart properties on the simpler column chart. Then we will see how we can create a series level column chart. And finally, we will see few more basic and advanced chart properties that we can apply on series column chart or the simpler column chart. Let's get started. Column chart. Column chart is a vertical bar graph. Basically, we use column chart to compare the data in the grooves or to track the changes over the time. Now, what is required to plot a bar graph? To plot a simple column chart or say the bar chart, we require categories and measures. Whereas in the series column chart, along with the categories and measures, we also require to have series. Let's move on to the example. So in this demo, we are going to create a simple column chart and the scenario is monthly product sales. We are going to create a data set for this graph. And this simple column chart requires categories and measures. In the categories, we are going to display the months, and in the measures, we are going to display the store sales. So to start with, let's create a blank report in the studio. File, new, Jasper report. Then select the blank report from the report templates. Click on next. Then let's save this report under reports folder of Jasper Reports 2021 project. I am going to name it as HTML5 simple column chart monthly product sales. Click on next. As we are going to create a data set, let us skip providing the data adapter for the main report. Click on next, click on finish. From the outline view, let us remove the unnecessary bands for the report. Basically, graphs represents the summary information of the report, and we keep the summary information in a specific band called summary. So let's keep this summary band and remove the all unnecessary bands. So I am going to remove page header, column header, detail, column footer, and page footer. Maximize the height of the summary band. Now from the outline view, select the root node and create a data set. Right click on the report name, then click on the create data set. Let's go with the default options to create the data set, and the name would be data set 1 here, and the option would be create new data set from a connection or data source. So click on next. And now from this data adapter dropdown, select the footnote database. Let's apply the query for the simple column chart. For any graph, before we start designing, we need to understand the data first. So in the SQL editor of the PG admin, I have already created a query for a simple column chart, and let's run this one to see the sample records. So in the results, we are having month of year, month, and store sales. Month of year, it is easy to sort the months, and we are going to have the month name and store sales on the graph. Month would be the category name, and sales would be the series value. As we are not going to have series on the simple column graph, we would consider this as the measures of the bar chart. So let's take this query and paste it on the SQL editor of the data set 1. So click on next. then take the fields for the graph, then click on next. Let's group by field here. So click on next. Now we have the data set 1 created. We are going to use the HTML5 component to plot the simple column graph. So from the components of the palette section, select the HTML5 chart component and drag it onto the summary band. From the list of all categories, select the column and bar, and we are going to look at column graph. So select the second one, click on OK. Now we have the component on the summary band. Let's adjust the height and width for this component by using this fit size to container utility. Save the report. Now configure the data values for this graph. Select the component, right click on this, and then click on edit chart properties. So in this section, we can create the chart, we can edit the chart, and we can customize the chart component. So this has 3 sections. It starts with select chart type, then data configuration and chart formatting. While we dragging and dropping on the component to the summary band, we have selected the chart type as column chart. So we don't need to worry about select chart type section in this area. Now we have to configure the measure sign categories for the graph. So in the data configuration section, again, this is divided into 2 parts, data and data set. Before we proceeding on to the data section, we need to tell the chart on which data set it has to be configured. So by default, it takes the report main data set, but we have created data set 1. So let us select that data set 1 for the graph. So as soon as we select the data set 1, we can see there are few more properties populated underneath it, but we are not going to parameterize our report. So let's skip this part for this demo. So switch back to the data section and again switch to the advanced configuration mode by clicking on this switch to advanced configuration button in the bottom. So click on this one. Now we can see the clear picture of what we have to configure for the chart. So this section has 3 parts. The category level section, that category levels part, series level part, and measures part. So in the categories section, by default, we can see level 1 is given, and in the measures 1 is given, but the series is empty. For simpler column chart, we don't need to bother about the second section here, which is series levels. So let us go with configuring the categories and measures. So select the level 1 from the categories level section and click on modify. So again, this category level has 2 parts, bucket information and bucket properties. Bucket properties we will discuss when we move on to the drill down concept. So let's switch back to the basic information here. In the expression, we need to provide the category. So click on this icon and select the month as the category. So click on finish. Let's take none for the order because in the SQL itself we have ordered the data. So click OK. Now in the measure section, either you can double click on the measure one or you can click on the modify button. I am going to perform double click action to view the properties that we can configure for the measures. So measure has again 2 sections here, value definition and advanced properties. Advanced properties, these are basically the series contributors. We can save this part for future sections, but let us go with the default properties for the measures. So in the label expression, let's give nothing, and calculation would be nothing here. Again, in the SQL itself, we have calculated the summations at month level. So we can skip this part, and in the value expression, let us select the store sales. Click on finish, then click OK, then click OK. So now we are done with configuring the data for the simple column chart. Let's publish this report to the server and see how the graph shows up on the server view. I am going to publish this to the my local Jasper server, and under the project of Jasper Reports 2021 folder, I have a folder for keeping all the reports, which is reports here, and the report unit should be given in the bottom. Click on next. Now let's select the Pudma database, which is already created in the project. Then click on finish. Now let's go to the server. We can see the publisher chart in the list here, and the report name is HTML5 simple column chart. Select this one and click on run button or run a new tab button. We are seeing nothing on the report output. This is because we haven't supplied any query for the main report. So go back to the design mode, select the root node, which is nothing but the report name from the outline, and in the properties, when see this is a report main data set. Report main data set is having no SQL. So when we have no SQL, we need to tell our report that uh, it should display all sections with no detail. So this will display all the remaining sections on the report canvas except the detail band. So this should work out for us. So save the report and republish it to the server. Now we should be able to see the graph output on the server view. Yeah. So this is the basic column chart with HTML5 component. We can see there is no series, but by default it assumes as one single series. And we can have some interactive features by selecting bars like this. We can zoom in and zoom out the bars on the graph. And we have this utility to change the chart type. So click on the chart types and we can change this to different supported graphs. For example, we have taken the column chart. If you want to convert it to uh, horizontal bar graph, we can do that by selecting this one and clicking on OK. So if we save this graph on the server, it automatically saves in the JRXML, but that is not uh, in our list for now. So I just wanted to show you how we can convert the chart types on the server view. So this chart type will be supported only in case of the matching of the categories and series or the measures for the other graphs. So let's rerun this report. Rerun can be done by refreshing the browser. So now we have the default view of the simple column chart. Now what we are going to do is we are going to apply some basic and advanced properties on this basic view of the simple column chart. So what we are going to do is there in the next slide on the simple column chart. So moving on to the next slide, we have some basic chart formatting and advanced chart formatting. In the basic chart formatting, by using the out of the box properties, we can add a chart title, we can remove the legend in the bottom, and we can change the bar color in the palette section. And in the advanced chart formatting, we have to manually provide these options. And this advanced chart formatting for this demo is includes x-axis title, which is months here, and y-axis title, which is product sales here, and data labels. So in the previous default view, we don't see what is the value for this bar. After configuring this data labels enable property, we can see the values are showing up on each of the bar. So let us see how we can apply this basic charts and basic properties and advanced properties on this bar component. So for that, I am going to take the copy of this bar graph just beside to this one. So let's increase the width of the report to, this is around 600. So I'm going to take 1400 of width. Now let's take the replica of the chart, and on the second chart we are going to apply this basic and advanced properties so that we can easily compare how the basic view is showing up and how the advanced view showing up on the JR viewer. So copy the component and paste it here. So let's save this report. Select the edit chart properties and chart formatting. These are the out of the box properties. We can call this as basic properties that we can apply directly from the studio. So let's move on to the title property. So what we can do is we can give it a name, product, monthly product sales, monthly product sales. Then what else we have on the basic properties? We can remove the legend, select the legend node, and by default show legend is true for column chart. We can suppress this one by selecting the false option. Now what else we have? Palette colors. So here is the color palette. By default it takes this list of colors, but we can modify according to our wish. So I'm going to take some blue color, click OK, then save and publish the report to the server. So I just applied the basic properties and we are going to see whether those are coming up on report output or not on the second graph. Yeah. So we can see the chart title and new color for the bar graphs, and we can see the legend is off in the bottom. So this is how we can apply the basic properties. Now we are going to apply the advanced properties to get the x-axis title, y-axis title, and the labels on each bar. So for that, go to the chart formatting properties, chart formatting properties. So these are the basic properties that we can play around. And to have the advanced settings to be configured for the chart, we need to click on this show advanced properties button, and this will brings us to the area where we can apply various advanced properties on the HTML5 charts. So these HTML5 charts we can extract it from the HTML or say the high charts API, and we have to configure them here. So to get the x-axis title, we need to be in the x-axis folder here, expand this one and scroll down a bit, and we have another subfolder called as title, and in the title we have the text here. So let us reconfirm. Yeah, so this is a property and we need to navigate until text from the folder structure, x-axis, then the title, then text. So the text would be months here, we can click on this expression and we can provide the x-axis title as a static text like months. Similarly, for the y-axis, we need to be in the y-axis folder, which is another root folder here. Y-axis, inside it we have a subfolder called title. Then in the title we have default value as values, but we need it to have product sales. So let's double click on that property and select the use expression option, and within the double quotes let us give static text as product sales. Click OK, and we want to have the data labels displayed on the each bar. For that, we need to navigate to data label section under plot options. So plot option, this plot option displays what are all the different types of charts are available. So our chart in this case is column chart. So select the plot options, then select the column chart, then expand this one, and this should have some subfolder called data labels. Expand this one again, and here we can see enable as false. So the default value for data labels enable is false. We need to modify this to true here. So double click on this property, then click on, then select the true option here. Click OK. We can see what are all the properties are updated here by clicking on this show only edited properties, so that we can easily understand what are all the properties we edited. So it shows a few other properties which we haven't edited, but while dragging and dropping it, it 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 considers that these values are also edited, but our interest is to check what we have configured for the chart. So in the plot options, we have configured data labels to be displayed. So this is the current value and this is the default value we have updated from false to true. Similarly, x-axis title and the y-axis title. So this is how we can configure the advanced properties for the column chart. Now click OK. Let's republish this to the server and see how the advanced settings are coming up on the graph. So let's refresh this one. Now on the chart output, we can see that the x-axis title is displayed, the y-axis title is displayed, and we can also see the labels on each of the bar here. So we can maximize a bit and we can do interactivity on this. So this interactivity is very helpful when we analyze the data on the actual reports. So this way we can create a simple column chart using HTML5 component, and we can have some basic and advanced properties on the created chart. So in this example, we have only single bar chart, single bars under one series. Now, if we want to display the data to compare based on the series, how we can do that? So we are going to see that in another example here. So basically, we need to understand and analyze our data before we start plotting the graph. So for the series level column chart, I am having another query created here, and okay, I don't require the unit sales. So in the report output, sorry, in the SQL output, we have the brand name column, month of year column, the month, and store sales. So if we closely look at the values of this brand name, we have American brand up to 12 rows, and from the 13th row to the 24th row, we have the another brand with the corresponding summations for each of the month. So we can consider this as a series and this month as category and this as single measure. We can have more than one measure, but for this demo, let us go with the single measure. So we need to design our output in this way so that we can easily understand how many series we have, how many categories we have, and what we are going to display on the measure. So we need to have a clear understanding on the data format before we create a series level column graph. So I am going to save this report. I'm going to save as this report as let me give this name HTML5 series column chart monthly product sales by brand name. So click OK. Now we have the another copy of the report. So let us modify these two graphs for the series column graph. So we need to update this SQL code for this graph. Let us apply the second query here. We need to ensure that all fields are showing up on the field name here. We have brand name, month of year, the month, and store sales. So we are missing brand name here. So we need to read the updated records based on the SQL. So now we have updated field names from the updated SQL. So click OK. Now in the chart properties, we are going to see how we can configure the series as brand name for this graph. So by default, the series levels is empty here. We are going to configure this with the brand name. Let us give it a name as series 1. We can have more than one series, but again, let us go with the single series here, which has two values inside it. So brand name would be the series value here. Click finish. Click. Let us select none for the order. So click OK. And in the chart formatting, so we don't require anything here. Click OK. Save the report. And for the other chart also, let us configure the same here. So in the series level section, series 1 here, and the expression should be brand name. Click finish. Then let us take none for the sorting because we have already sorted at the SQL level. So click OK. Click OK. Now we have this series configured for the column chart, and now we should call it as series level column chart. Okay, it has overwritten the other report that we earlier published, so nothing to worry on this. So this is the default view here. We can see there are two bars coming for each of the month, and one bar indicates the American brand name and the other bar indicates the second brand, which is Washington here. And as we have advanced properties applied, we can see the labels on each bar, and we have the months, and we have x-axis title as months and y-axis title as product sales along with the chart title. Now we are missing readability of these fields here. So let us increase in the chart height, chart width a bit more so that we can have a better readability of the data labels. Now even we can rotate these labels to vertical on each of the bar. To do that, we have to apply one more advanced property that we can see on the next slides. So we have covered this slide information, which is the series column chart. And on the basic and advanced chart properties, we already have months on the x-axis, product sales on the y-axis, and data labels enabled is true. And if we select rotation as 270, we can see uh, the labels are the labels go vertically instead of displaying horizontally. And if we give data labels y option as 30, we can see the labels go inside to the each of the bar. So this is how we can create a series level column chart. And that brings us to the end of this session on HTML5 column chart and HTML5 series level column chart. So before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of what we saw in this session. So in the first place, we have seen the basics of column chart. Then we have seen how we can create a simple column chart using HTML5 component. And then we have seen how we can apply basic and advanced properties on the simpler column chart. And finally, we have seen how we can create a series level column chart and how we can rotate the labels on the each of the bar. So that's all for this session. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more updates.